Welcome back to this week's episode of OakieVision. This is Ryan Barnett, Sports Information Director here at Menlo College. And my guest this week is the head coach of the defending Golden State Athletic Conference men's soccer champions, of course, those being your Menlo Oaks, Coach Keith Lambert. Thanks for joining me, Coach.
Thanks for having me, RB.
Absolutely. Really excited to have you on the show. A lot to unpack today, so let's get started. First of all, you've been at Menlo for a while now, coming up on year 8 with the Oaks, of course, 4 years at the helm of the women's soccer program. Then coming over, you've been 3 seasons as the head coach of the men's program, now going into your 4th season. I mean, in that time, the numbers speak for themselves. 74 wins, 43 losses, 14 draws, never had a season actually at 500. Everything's been above 500, Now, originally you hail from Southern California in the Antelope Valley area. You played your college soccer at Humboldt State. Now, what drew you to come to Menlo now 8 years ago, and what has kept you here for that time? We've been so happy to have you for that time.
Yeah, and I've been happy to be here for this time, so it's worked out nicely. I moved up to the Bay Area in 2009 to pursue some coaching opportunities at Cal State East Bay. I spent 4 years there as an assistant on the men's side, and I think after that 4-year stint, I was looking for the chance to become a head coach. And I had known about Menlo. I actually played Menlo when I was at Humboldt State. We played a game here on Wunderlich Field. So that was kind of reminiscent when I walked on campus. But I was just looking for an opportunity. I really enjoyed meeting the staff when I came on my interview. Coach Spataro, our athletic director, he's a great leader and super passionate and somebody that I could see myself working for. So, I took that chance, transitioned from the men to the women, had a really good experience on the women's side, really enjoyed my time and worked with some amazing young women on and off the field. And then as time was going along here, the previous men's coach, Eric Bucheri, he decided to move on to try his hand in professional soccer. And so I was interested in getting back to the men's side of things, and Coach Spataro agreed with that, and he was okay with it. So it was super tough to leave the women's side. But, when I looked on what do I want my career to be in 10, 20, 30 years, I'd like to be working on the men's side. So, having that opportunity to come over to the men's side has really been a fantastic experience in the last 3 seasons. And just in terms of things that have made me stay, I love Menlo because it's a place that continues to grow and become better. And, I think you can speak to that, being an alumni of the college and now an employee of the college, that, every year something better happens at Menlo to improve the quality of the student athlete experience, the student experience, the employees, whether that's something tangible that you can see or really great accreditation, new faculty and staff. So it's a blossoming place, continues to become great and better with each year.
Absolutely. And, like you said, I definitely see that as well as an alum, a former student and now working for the college. Now, one of those things that has continued to improve as well has been the soccer programs, both on the men's and women's side. Of course, you a 2-time over now conference champion winning coach, first in 2014 with the women's side, winning the Cal Pac in their last year in that conference. And more recently, the men's side this year. I want to focus a little bit about this year's championship team. Of course, your team got off to a red hot start, ranked in the top 25. Then going into conference, you had a rough start. Masters and Westmont, 2 of the best programs in the conference, right up there with the Oaks. You guys dropped 2 of your first 3 in conference, but then something clicked. You guys would close out winning your last 7 straight, outscoring opponents 17-2 in that time, and then straight through to the GSAC championship where you downed OUAZ in penalty kicks. I wanted to ask you, was there sort of a unifying moment maybe in the locker room or out on the training ground, something that was said that brought these guys together? Or was it maybe just, at that point, after those 2 losses, you were able to sit down, your team was able to sit down and figure out how to gel together and work together on the team? Because when you guys were clicking down that home stretch, it was beautiful to watch. It was a beautiful, beautiful brand of soccer.
Yeah, I think it was probably a combination of a lot of things, including potentially a little bit of luck. A couple of things. When we had a great preseason, we were really happy with the results. We knew going into conference would be a different beast, and we opened up with Westmont, who's always a powerhouse. Losing to them in overtime was super rough. I think that a bit of a shell shock for us, especially because it was at home. So we stepped back, kind of reevaluated. We hit the road, went down and played San Diego, had a good performance against them. And then it was last year, the fires were raging down in Southern California. We had a treacherous from San Diego to Santa Clarita 9-10 hour bus ride because all the freeways were closed down. And then we got up and played the next day. And, not an excuse, but it was like, we're just dragging a little bit. But it really forced us, after we had that second loss in 3 games, as you point out, it forced us to look at things critically and, hey, what changes could we make to be a better team and to really maximize our personnel and leverage all the talent we had. So we made a few positional changes that I think helped the group. We talked about, being a little bit more composed when we're close to our goal, both in attack and defense, and those personnel changes allowed for that. And more importantly, I think the group doubled down in the things that we believed in: tough defending, good transitioning, closing out games, and being a group. I say it over and over to the guys throughout the year is, it's unlikely that we'll ever be the most talented team in the country, but as a group, we can be the most together and the most dialed in on what our playing style is, and our preparation can be great. And so, I really feel at that point in the season, the guys knew we had a talented group. They knew that the conference season is short, so we had already squandered 6 points in those first 2 losses, and we couldn't lose any more points if we're going to make a run at things. And they did an excellent job at, again, doubling down on the things that are important to our program and have helped bring us some success.
Well, absolutely. It seemed like your team was totally bought into that. And, like I said, down the stretch, they needed to be perfect, and they were as close to you can come out there, closing out with those last 7 straight wins straight on through to the title. So we focused a little bit about last year. Let's talk a little bit about this upcoming season. I like to break down with soccer, since we have, a clear 4 positional groups. I like to break it down by positional groups, starting with the goalkeepers. Now, we will not see Andres Zimmerman back for his 3rd year with the Oaks. He opts to graduate early in December. So we may have a goalkeeper competition on our hands. 3 great student athletes. Of course, you bring in Ben Fish, who's coming in, a freshman from Wisconsin, and then 2 returners as well in the forms of Esteban Perla and Brent Natwick. What in your mind, or how in your mind, is this goalkeeper competition going to go, without having seen these guys all together on the pitch this year yet?
Yeah, I'm really excited. It'll be a position to watch once we get playing again. All 3 really talented student athletes, all with different skill sets and kind of strengths and weaknesses. Brent would be, our most experienced goalkeeper, transfer from De Anza College down the road, really good soccer program. He redshirted 1 year and then had 2 really strong years, playoff experiences in both seasons. So he's a guy that knows how to win. He knows how to play for a big time program. And I think the guys respect him a lot. He doesn't say a lot in the locker room, says what he needs to say on the field, but he's not a big mouth. He's a low profile kind of guy, but certainly somebody who can get the job done I'm confident in that. Esteban Perla is another, local talent who doesn't have the experience but trains super hard. Kind of the opposite, one of our bigger personalities on the team, which sometimes in goal is a great thing, but super hardworking young man and loves the game, loves his teammates. And then Ben, our freshman coming in from Wisconsin, he's played at a good youth level and has a lot of experience. He's actually over in Spain currently, training and playing there right now. So hopefully he's getting some important experience and valuable reps under his belt right now. So it'll be an exciting position to watch. And, that group is led by Coach Matt Tudor, who has done a tremendous job with the goalkeepers in his tenure here at Menlo College, spanning, the past 8 years. So there's no doubt in my mind that position will continue to be strong for us.
Absolutely. And we're excited to see it. We've seen a few goalkeepers over the past, like you mentioned, 8 years under the direction of Coach Tudor. And they've all been, really great, kept you guys in matches, year in, year out, whether it's been, names that come to mind, Alex Coates McDowell, Juan Mendoza, Julio Naranjo, and then most recently, Andres Zimmerman. So no doubt in our minds that, the goalkeeper, whoever comes out game one in that goalkeeper's uniform, will be up to the task and led by great coaching. Moving on to your defense, another, solid portion, as we mentioned, those 7 straight games, 5 of them by shutout that you won down the stretch last year. You do graduate 3 of your starting defenders, but return Brett Fitzpatrick, who had a stellar season as a wing defender in his first year, at least here at Menlo, playing a defensive position. And you do have a great recruiting class of defenders coming in as well. A couple of guys from Concordia, Portland, who are both all conference, of course, Menlo College, providing some additional aid for students coming in from Concordia, Portland, with them shutting their doors this year. But all in all, those 2 guys and a few other community college transfers as well on the back line. So, how do you see your defense shaping out this year? Could be led by Brett Fitzpatrick or maybe some of these new guys that have the collegiate experience, even if it wasn't at Menlo College.
Yeah, it was certainly tough to see our group from last year go. Really experienced, great guys, understood what we were doing defensively. That being said, we've got good talent coming in, guys who have experience winning games, playing in college games, guys who have played for us along the back line at points during their career at Menlo College. So I'm not sure what it'll look like exactly. Traditionally, or last year we played in a 4-4-2. I think that'll always be something steadfast in our program. But, with the change of personnel, we may look to go to a 3-back system. Or some variation of that 4-back system. We'll have to see once we get the guys together in a group and see what we look like. But, I think we should be experienced. I think we should be athletic. And then it's just how the guys gel. We won't be able to know that until we get on the field together.
Absolutely. Now moving up to your midfield, sort of the opposite. You graduate one guy, Noah Kerr, who's been brilliant in his 4 years at Menlo College, but you do return Michael Weber, Carl Helmertz, and Evan Snodgrass, all with loads of experience, all guys who played a major role in the championship last year. This is the most experienced group you have. But my question is, we've seen positional changes before at Menlo. All 3 of those guys have shown great ability offensively and defensively. So could we see some positional changes with these experienced guys in the midfield moving up to a less experienced group up front or back to the back line? Or should we expect to see them sticking in the midfield?
Yeah, I think all 3 of those guys will play a significant role for us. They're a big part of our group on and off the field. And so, what line we see them playing, I'm not sure 100%. I know for sure they'll be on the field contributing, and, whether we move them up a line or back a line, I'm uncertain at this point, and just depends on how we set out our shape. But I think the biggest thing to note is, the staff is counting on those guys to influence the game big time, and to really carry the tradition of last year and previous years, but also, put a new spin on it, so to speak, and bring a new style 2021. We'll see. So we're excited to see all three of those guys back on the field.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you from the fans' perspective as well, we're excited to see those guys too, because they were solid, like I said, all around the ball, possessing the ball, defending the ball, or attacking up in the attacking third. Those guys were brilliant. Let's round up the positional groups by talking about the guys up top. Of course, Giovanni Gomez and Tim Stairs, both key parts of your offense last year, will be have graduated, I should say, and will not be returning next year. But you do bring back Caden Mink, who has been a star on the rise, a really great, strong way to close out his year last year, as well as Luke Gleedle, who will be in his second year at the program. And we saw him with a couple of huge clutch goals down the stretch last year. So these guys, we're really excited about some young talent coming in as well. So my question for this group is, you guys played a really high intensity offense, it seemed, last year. Scoring well over 2 goals a match. Can you guys keep up that pace with this younger group?
Yeah, I think so. That'll be the idea. That's the way that the coaching staff kind of sees the game, and that's the way the modern game is: pressing, trying to win the ball high up the field, play vertically. I think we'll continue to do that. I mean, I think Luke and Caden, as well as some of the other guys, they know that those big stars in Gio and Tim and Noah as well, in terms of offensive productivity, they know they're gone, and I think they've got something to prove. And so both those guys are working, specifically Caden and Luke are working tremendously hard right now, getting fit, trying to improve their game technically and physically. So we'll see what happens when we come in and we get going again. I think we've got a great starting point with those two guys, and a lot of other quality from within the team, and a lot of other quality from within the recruiting class. So, I don't know if it'll be the same kind of, 10 goal turnout that maybe those other guys put up, but maybe it'll be spread out a little bit more. I think the thing that I'm excited about is Caden is so young and ambitious and is a sponge, and it takes in anything. Luke always showed up in the big moments last year and did a good job to execute in those high pressure moments. And now it's about, making sure his fitness right and his playing form is good. And he and I are speaking often, and I'm confident that he's going to be poised and ready to go when we start playing soccer again.
All right. Well, looking forward to seeing it, Coach. Last question of the interview, just to wrap things up. Of course, soccer, one of the first sports we saw at a professional level back once COVID sort of started to trend downward. We saw it first in the European leagues and in South America, and then here with the MLS. And of course, following suit with that, we saw club teams out here sort of becoming prominent again, younger club teams. Have your guys been active at this level, or how other ways have your guys been staying active and being able to stay in competition form in this prolonged offseason? I know you alluded to the goalkeeper, Ben Fish, overseas in Spain. I know you have a plethora of other players who are international student athletes. So how have your guys been staying ready?
Yeah, so all the international guys, they're on a team. They're training 3 days a week and playing matches on the weekends at a pretty high level. Then we've got our domestic guys who, they're trying to do what they can to stay competitive. Individual training is a massive thing, and a lot of them have a cohort or a bubble that they'll try and play with. But for us, the message that our athletic department has been sending out, and I've been sending out to our team, is safety first. We have a responsibility to our community, and if we want to get back to playing together as a group, we play a role in bringing down those numbers. So they're not out playing in any leagues. If there were leagues to be played in, I've instructed them, not to do so, because, we want to follow those state and county guidelines and ordinances. So we're trying to be creative about how we stay competitive. We're talking about it. We do a weekly Zoom call And on those Zoom calls, we bring on guest speakers, or we talk about different topics like staying competitive in this environment. So I think they're working hard to try and keep those habits going. There'll certainly be some rust to shake off once we get back together, but I also think there's going to be a lot of pent up energy once we get back together. So, hopefully that day will happen soon, and we'll be able to really stop talking about it and start seeing it. I know that's what they want. That's what the coaching staff wants. But until that time, they're just doing a good job at, being good citizens and trying to keep themselves and their community safe.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the inside look here, Coach, at your soccer program and how it's looked amidst these unprecedented times. But we're really excited to see your team back in action in the coming year. I want to thank you for your time, Coach, and for joining me here on OakieVision.
Hey, thanks a lot, RB. I really appreciate it. And it's good to see you as well.
Absolutely. Fans, thanks for tuning in to another episode of OakieVision. We'll do our best to continue to keep your finger on the pulse of everything Menlo College athletics. Have a great week.
Stay safe.